Hello friends, today we will learn how to insert a record into MySQL database using PHP technology. So here we have designed a form. In this form we have taken 3 text boxes and an insert button. So when we click on insert button, the record will get inserted into MySQL database. So let's first create a table into MySQL which contains 3 fields, first for name, age, third for address and fourth one for storing the employee ID. So let's go to MySQL. Create a table with name, TB, employee with 4 fields. So the first field will be employee ID. It will be integer. From the indexes, choose primary key and set auto incremented to true. So when we set auto incremented to true, it means there is no need to insert employee IDs. Employee IDs will be inserted automatically. Now let's take the second field, that is name. It will be varchar and the size will be 50. Third for age, it will be integer, and fourth one for address, again varchar, and the size will be 500. Now click on save button. Now you can see a new table with the name TB employee is created with 4 fields: employee ID, name, age and address. Now let's move to our coding part in PHP. So here you can see we have designed a form. In this form we have taken 3 text boxes and the submit button, and on the click of submit button this form will get submitted. Now because we haven't specified the action field, so this form will submit it to the same page. So on the top of the page, let's take the PHP tags, PHP and the ending tag. So under the PHP tags we will write on the code for insertion. So the first step is to create the connection with the database. So let's take a variable con is equal to MySQL underscore connect. Now MySQL underscore connect method is basically used to connect to MySQL. It takes 2 parameters. First is the name of the server. So in our case the name of the server will be localhost. Second is the username, and third is the password. Now there is no need to specify the password in our case, because in our case the database password is blank. Now next is to specify the database. So the method that is used to select the database is MySQL underscore select underscore DB. In this we have to specify the database name. So in our case the database name is training. And the second parameter will take the connection variable. Now next step is to identify whether the button submit is clicked or not. So we will write down the code if is set $_request btn submit. So if your button is clicked, btn submit is clicked, the control will enter this block, and in this block we will write down the code for inserting data into MySQL database. First let's take a variable for storing the name. So we have taken a variable $name, and it will store the name that we have entered into text box txt name. Similarly, take another variable for storing the age. And third variable for storing the address. Now next step is to take a variable in which we will specify the query. So let's take a variable query. Here we will specify the query for insertion. So the query will be insert into EB employee and the fields in which we want to insert the data, and the name of the fields are name, age and address. Now we have to specify the values. Now value will come from the variables. The value of name will come from the variable name. So $name. Similarly, value of age will come from variable $age, and value of address will come from variable $address. So now we have specified the query. Now the last step is to execute the query. So we will use MySQL underscore query method to execute the query. In this we will specify our query. Now MySQL underscore query method returns 1 if your query executed successfully, otherwise it returns 0. So we can use it like this. If it returns 2 or if it returns 1, this block will get executed, and here we will display the message record inserted successfully. Otherwise we will display the message record cannot saved. So we have finished with the coding for inserting a record into database. Let's run this code. So I'll enter the name Smith, age 25 and address New York. When I click on insert button, you can see the message record inserted successfully. Means our insert functionality is working fine. So let's go to database, and inside the employee table you will see one record is inserted successfully. So this is all for inserting a record into database using PHP and MySQL database. Thank you very much.